All right, once again, my name is Nob. This is the final part of, which is the fourth part of Esau is not the progenitor of the so-called white race. So I give at least 1800 years worth of history from the inception of Esau as a boy being born 1800 BC, and I trace him all the way from there all the way down to 70 AD when the temple was demolished by the Romans and all the Israelites and the Edomites living together in the land of Israel. They fled everywhere to save their lives. And those who didn't flee ended up in Egypt, and ships would go to Egypt as slaves. And it says the Romans, they took a bunch of Israelites and turned them to their slaves. 70 AD when they destroyed Jerusalem. And then a bunch of Israelites. When you read a book called From Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph or Windsor, he talk about a bunch of Israelites fled Roman persecution, Roman destruction, fled from Israel, from Jerusalem to Africa. So those Israelites, one thing that book forgot to mention, that among those Israelites, there were a bunch of Edomites. The Edomites had already become one with the Israelites. That's why the Israelites, in the time of so-called Jesus, they had a king, an Edomite king named Herod the Great, because those Edomites, they were already forced to follow the Torah, the laws, the Israelite laws. They got converted, those Edomites. They got converted to the Israelites' religion and the laws, and they were told to circumcise themselves. Eventually, they followed it, and then they became one with the nation of Israel. So when the Romans came to attack the nation of Israel, Israelite soldiers, along with Edomite soldiers, fought, and then they lost. They fled everywhere, especially Africa. And when those later on during the slave trade, when people were transported from west coast of Africa to different part of the so-called New World, they were all Negroes, which means in any places that these people were taken, although I'm not saying everybody in those lands came from Africa, because you already had Israelites living in Haiti, Jamaica, in the so-called New World. So those so-called Indians that white supremacy created, invented, those are fake. That's a fake history. So when they said those Indians died, they couldn't work, and they had to go to Africa and get some strong black men, that's a lie. The Indians didn't die, because the Indians, they were niggers already. They were Negroes. So Edomites as well as Israelites fled to Africa. So when they went there and took some Israelites and brought them to, let's say, Haiti, those people were Israelites and Edomites at the same time, because nation Israel and Edom, they had already became one. So no, Esau is not the father of the so-called white race. I already, from the first video, I already explained how on earth you have dark-skinned people, and you have every dark-skinned people on earth has a light-skinned counterpart. Every dark-skinned people. I already broke that down in the first video. If you see a dark Chinese, that means the light-skinned Chinese came from that dark Chinese. And I already explained how white people, they are albino Indians. When I say Indians, people from India, not the fake people they invented in the Americas. There were never no Indians over here. There were never no people called Indians here, because here was never called India. How would you have Indians here? All the Indians, they were in India. White supremacy created that fake history and said when they came here, they had Indians living here, because they know if they say when they came here, it was niggers living here, and then they enslaved them. So niggers would always say, look, in that case, we're going to fight for the land. It's our land. We didn't come from no Africa. Although they did take some people from Africa and brought them to, but it was the same people. They knew exactly what they were doing. That's why they use that psychology on niggas. You know, that's why even Malcolm X said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. In other words, they didn't go and take us from over there and brought us here. These people came. They came and landed on us. We've been here. And Martin Luther King said, you know, we have become exiled in our own lands. You have people, strangers, that come here and make us feel like we are exiled in our own land. And once he said this, he knows white supremacy was going to deal with him, because he was spewing the biggest secrets that this world does not want to let so-called black people know. Black people, the slaves, the so-called slaves, the descendant of the slaves, that they are, well, not the slaves, the enslaved, the one that got enslaved. They were never slaves. They don't want them to know that they are the descendants of the Israelites in the Bible. They don't want them to know that they're the real Jews. And the Jews that you have, those people that call themselves Jews, they are converts. They were converted since the Khazar time, the Khazar Empire times. Those are albino Indians that somehow that live in the caves. And then Israelites, Jews, black Jews, went to them and converted them. And then they kept following it. They kept following it since the time they were converted, since the 8th century AD, until their empire got destroyed by Genghis Khan, the Mongols, and then they were scattered all over Europe. And eventually, white supremacy came with a plan and gathered them all the way, all over Europe, and put them in Israel as Jews when they're really converts. And the funny thing about this thing, you have this group called FOPE. They're pushing hard that the Israelites, they're only niggers. That means the 12 tribe chart that you Israelites on the streets are pushing, that you have Judah, Benjamin, Levi, those are niggers. Then the others, you have Mexicans, you have Dominicans, you have Puerto Ricans, you have all these other people. Basically, just like they saying, I'm saying, the nation of Israel was a nation that there was a black nation. Every tribes were niggas, Negroes. Because when they went to Africa, they transported some Israelites from West Coast of Africa to anywhere in the world, like Haiti. All the people look the same. When every time they show in Haiti or Jamaica, you see they put on the news, you see the people that's running and doing that are marching, rioting, they all look like niggas. And even after slavery days, when you had white people mingle with Haitians, Haitians still look like a dark nation. A couple of them are light skinned. I guess all the light skinned ones, they went to DR anyway. But when you go to Haiti, well, the ones in DR, that's because they are mixed. They weren't like this before. That's niggas mixed with Europeans, with people from Spain, with Spaniards, and some of them from France. The niggas in DR were never light skinned. They became light when they mixed with the French and the Spaniards. So when white supremacy went to Africa and took a bunch of Israelites and brought them to the New World, they were all niggas. So I agree with FOPE saying the whole 12 tribes, they are all niggas. All niggas. Now, the only thing I would say to the Israelites, FOPE school, and those that know the 12 tribes, they were all niggas. You guys can take it a step further. If the nation of Israel came from Jacob, he was a nigger. His brother Esau was another nigger. His parents, Rebecca and Isaac, they were niggas. His grandparents, their grandparents, Abraham and Sarah, niggas. Their great-great-great-great-grandparents, Noah and his 3 sons, they were all niggas. People, reddish brown, some dark-skinned brown, some look red, just like the word red used for Esau, the word red used for King David, the word red used for King Solomon, reddish brown and some dark brown, just like blood. Blood looks red the minute it's exposed to oxygen. Somebody spilled some blood on the ground, eventually that blood that was red gonna start turning darker till you see it looks like brown, even darker than brown. Eventually probably looks close to black, although it's not really black. So that's black people. And white people, they are more like dark-skinned people who lost their pigments, who lost their melanins, who got less melanins, and they're not red. They are just like Moses' sister said when she complained to the Most High, when the Most High gave her leprosy. She said, look, I look white. I got baby skins, and I look leprous and white as snow. So white people are really, if you had to use a word, it's really white. Although, yeah, I'm not saying they're this color. No, I'm not saying this. But in human terms, they're more, the word to use for them is white. And what does the word white mean? I mean, white doesn't mean this. I'm sure a lot of you say, what? What do you mean doesn't mean this? This is white paper. No, white does not mean this. White is an old English that means light. So this paper is really light. That's what white means. An old English that means light. The same way, black doesn't mean this. Black is an old English that means dark. So this is dark. So there is no such thing as a black color. There is no such thing as a white color. White is really light. Anything, this is light. It's definitely not dark like this. So now, one last thing I want to say. One thing I noticed why why you guys are following that fallacy, that so-called, that Esau is the progenitor of the so-called white race. Although your eyes can tell you, if you see a bunch of mutated roaches looking yellow, you know those yellow roaches came from the dark roaches. If you go in the jungle, or you don't even have to go in the jungle. In your house, if you see a white mouse, that's an albino mouse. The Most High never made no albino mouse. The Most High made everything. The Most High made, it said it was good. The evening and the morning and the evening was the first day, the second day, everything say it was good. So everything the Most High created was natural, was according to nature. But you do have accident in nature where dark skin thing that the Most High created, they came out with less pigments or no pigments. They become mutated, then become lighter. And that's a fact. You can have, I have pictures I can show where you have an animal that's like monkey, supposed to be black. I mean, when I say black fur on his body. When they get mutated, that black fur turns to yellow. Or the red rose gets mutated, and then it looks like a white rose. That's a mutation. So white people, like I said, they're not descendants of Esau. If you look at their physiognomy, their features, the people on earth that are dark skinned, that have the same features as them, are the people we call Indians in India. So Hitler, yeah, I'm not down with Hitler, whatever BS he was doing, killing people and none of that. But his scientists, they were right when they say when they were hired to find out where the white race came from. They all came with one conclusion, that white people, they came from Indians. That's why Hitler started to go around with the Indian sign that he saw in Indian history called the swastika. And he saw there was a so-called white group of people called Aryans, but they were Indians in India. Hitler was 100% right. I'm sure there's a lot of white scientists who know just as much as Hitler scientists who know where white people came from. They did not come from Esau nor Edom. And I'll take it even a step further. White people or Indians people did not come from the Adam that was with Eve 6,000 years ago. Because even the white people will tell you, white scientists will say, look, we have so-called Neanderthal genes in us. And Neanderthals, they stopped walking the earth more than 15,000 years ago. Adam was only 6,000 years ago. So how the hell somebody got genes from somebody that was 15,000 years ago and still related to the person that came 6,000 years ago, when these people, the last Neanderthals, so-called, walked the earth at least 15,000 years ago? That's only common sense, that these people that have Neanderthal genes cannot come from Adam. So if white people came from Indians, that means Indians have Neanderthal genes. Even, you don't have to buy no books. You don't have to go that far to find out, to even go on the computer and type, and find out that white people, even the white scientists, claim that they have Neanderthal genes in them. They have a percentage of Neanderthal genes in them. And they even say the Chinese, the Asian people also have Neanderthal genes in them. And Neanderthal stopped walking the earth at least 15,000 years ago. So how would that be possible? So you guys are teaching some fallacies, some crazy lies. You guys must have been, whoever created it must have been smoking something. But now let me make this last point. I see how you guys fall off the horse. How you guys got stumbled with that fallacies. It's mainly from reading the book of Ezra. Wrong understanding of the book of Ezra, the second Ezra, a book that was written during the Greek time, after the Greek time. How you know? Because you have an Ezra in the Old Testament. They spell it Ezra, Ezra, like regular Ezra. Trying to transliterate it from the Hebrew into English. But Ezra's now is a Greek version. That means it was written after the Greek time. That's why it was called Ezra's, not Ezra. So when you guys read Second Ezra's, the 6th chapter, verse 6, that's how you guys are confused, misunderstand that those verses and thinking that, well, that's why Esau has got to be the father, the progenitor of the so-called white race. So now you can read that for me. Here's the last thing I'm gonna break down and then done with. This is the fourth part of this topic. All right.
Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone.
That's the Most High talking, okay?
And through none other.
Yeah, the Most High talking.
By me also they shall be ended, and by none other.
The Most High talking. Look, I make them, I can destroy them. Nobody else. So okay, So go ahead.
And answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the time?
This is so-called Ezra talking. Listen, I don't subscribe to the book of Ezra. Any books that were written after the Babylonian times, the Israelites already bugged out, writing books. A lot of those are mixed with truth and lies. Truth and lies. But at least I'm reading this thing to show you how you guys interpret this thing that this person wrote, which is not Ezra. This person wrote, and how you guys came with that theory that Esau is the father of the so-called white race. Go ahead. Now, Ezra was the one asking the Most High question now. Now, like, let me ask you a question now. Go ahead.
Or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followed?
Okay, so Ezra was like, yo, I want to know. Well, it's not really Ezra. The person who wrote this book. So I want to know when the nation of Israel gonna run stuff, because we had the blessings since Jacob was born that Jacob gonna run stuff. The promise was given to Abraham. When Jacob gonna run stuff? When the end gonna be for everybody else, and then now the nation of Israel running stuff? That's the question that the person who wrote this book put it in a way that Ezra is asking the Most High. So tell me, when's that time gonna happen? Go ahead.
And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau.
The first video started with Genesis 25:25 about, and that's gonna end with this verse that's talking about Genesis 25:25. So it says when in Genesis 25:25. When Jacob and Esau was born, Esau came out first. This is the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment. Red. The first came out hairy. No, the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment. That's what Genesis said. So now, this person who wrote this book, quoting that story, now he's gonna break down what that story means to him. Okay, go ahead.
For Esau is the end of the world.
Esau is the end of the world. That's what this person is saying. Esau is the end of the world, meaning the end where all the heathens stop running stuff. Like in this time, say, well, it's Armageddon coming. That's going to be the end of the world. 500 years ago, they probably said it was something else. That's how the world was going to end. 1,000 years ago and say, oh, this is the end of the world. This is what's going to happen. 1,500 years ago, this is the end of the world. This is how it's going to happen. You know, so this guy now, who's probably was around the time of the Hasmonean dynasty time, Greek time, later time, who wrote this thing way after Ezra died. And wrote a book and called it Ezra, as if Ezra wrote it. That's what a lot of Israelites was doing, especially after the time of the Babylonian time, captivity time. They'll see a word in the Bible, a name, like Job, then they wrote a whole book called Job, because they know that would make people read it. They'll see Ezekiel talk about Daniel, a guy that lived before. Then after the Persian times, slavery time, somebody's gonna sit down and write a book called Daniel. And then got us in this time thinking Daniel actually wrote it, when Daniel was supposed to be before Ezekiel, because Ezekiel talked about Daniel. And Ezekiel was during the time of the Babylonian, which is before the Persian time. And the Daniel of the book of Daniel is the Persian time, after Ezekiel. So Ezekiel talk about a guy that lived before him, when in reality, the book of Daniel was written way after Ezekiel died, because it was the Persian time. That's how I know the book of Daniel. That's another book. You threw straight in the fire. There's a lot of there's some good stuff in there. There's a lot of bad stuff in there. Lies in there. Pushing idolatry in there. Pushing some Son of Man, Jesus thing in there. Which is idolatry. Because most of us say, I'm the only one to follow. He never said, my son also, and then some ghost, and then somebody else. Christians, that Christian religion, Christians, unfortunately, I have to let you know, you're into idolatry. You just don't want to accept it. Idolatry means you're worshiping idols. If that's what you want to do, I wish Christian would just say, look, all this, the Jesus thing and all this thing has nothing to do with the Tanakh, you know, but that's what we want to do. We want to follow a religion where we believe that we can eat somebody symbolically, drink the person's blood symbolically. Some guys walking in some water, it's all fictitious. Some guy take a couple of fish and turn it to a bunch of fish. Some guy take water and turn it to wine. You know, if that's what you want to believe, you know, ass on you. But guess what? None of you can duplicate those things that Jesus did. None of you. That's how you know this is lies. None of you can just take water and turn it to wine. None of you can do any of the things that he supposedly did, that wizard did, when he didn't even live. He didn't even do any of that. Somebody wrote all that. That's how I know these things are lies, because guess what? None of you can do them again. Until you guys able to do them again, these are all lies. You guys gonna born believing in these lies, say they can happen, and never do it until you die, and they never happen. Go ahead.
And Jacob is the beginning of it that followed.
So Esau was supposed to, so this is where they got that thing. Esau is the end of the so-called world. Because we're living in the year 2000, so we, you know, they say, well, if it was the year 1000 AD, they wouldn't say it's the white man, because the white man wasn't running stuff yet. They'll have to say something else. So everybody in their time, they had to read this and had their own interpretation. So if the so-called white man stop running stuff, they go into extinction, like they claim. Extinct. They become extinct, and then the next people that run stuff is another group of aliens, green aliens from some other place. Then guess what? The people who read this, they're gonna say, well, it's referring to the green aliens, or the purple aliens, or the yellow aliens, whoever come here. They're gonna read this, let's see. So Esau is referring to the yellow aliens now. Now, because the so-called white race is the one running stuff, so whoever reading the Bible now, reading Ezra, say, look, then you gotta be Esau. Although the person who wrote this, they already believe when they wrote it, Esau already went down. Nation Edom already went down. Nation Israel already went up, came up because, let's say, like I believe it was written in the time of the Judas Maccabees time and his brothers, and when the nation Israel was running stuff, and they were going around fighting the Romans, like, look, the Romans couldn't touch us. So I definitely believe and definitely can see why somebody would write this and say, look, at that point, the nation of Edom, they became subservient to the nation of Israel. They became under, because Judas and his brother forced them to follow the Torah, the laws, to be circumcised. So at that point, they already went under. They already went under. They already became slaves. They had no say-so. They couldn't say anything. The nation of Israel told them what to do. And then they became one with us by listening to us. So 100%, the person who wrote that in Ezra, that person wrote it in those days when the nation of Edom were so-called slaves to the nation of Israel. Because the nation of Israel told them what to do and told them, look, if I catch you guys not circumcised, you guys going to have a problem. And that's what Judas Maccabees and his brother John Hyrcanus did. And they did in their days. Nation of Edom had no choice. Either they got down or lay down. That's what happened to them. So that's what this thing is talking about. So that prophecy already happened, where the nation of Israel, the nation of Edom went down, the end of that world, and the nation of Israel became on top until the Romans came and showed the Israelites later on, 70 AD. You guys don't want to listen, because the Israelites in the time of John and Judas Maccabees didn't give a damn about the Romans. They were fighting, and the Romans, they were still fighting them, and they weren't scared of no Romans. Until later on, maybe Jesus' time, the Romans already subdued the nation of Israel. Said, look, you guys be quiet. You gotta pay me taxes. That's why when so-called the person who wrote the Jesus thing, see, trying to trick them, according to the people who wrote that story, said, look, Jesus, are we supposed to pay taxes? They were waiting for him to say no, so they could go to Caesar. Say, look, I thought Caesar already proved that. Listen, you Negroes, shut the hell up. Better listen to me, or else I'm gonna come and rough you guys up. And that's it. So the Caesars already proved that to the nation of Israel. Caesar already proved to the nation of Israel, look, the time of John Hyrcanus and Judas Maccabees are over. You guys either work for me or you're gonna have a problem. And the nation of Israel still didn't want to believe it. They're like, nah, we're not slaves yet. We're not slaves yet. We have Jesus. He's here to save us. And then Jesus died and then saved them. And then 70 AD, the Romans said, okay, where's Jesus? Jesus is dead now. So you guys got nobody. 70 AD, the Romans came and destroyed the nation of Israel. And the nation of Israel fled like roaches to different parts of the world. Africa, Europe, everywhere. So that's the breakdown of Second Ezra's. Though I don't believe in the book of Ezra, because it was written in a time when Israelites were bugged out mentally, spiritually, because they already went to captivity, and then they followed all type of madness, and then they came back. Because when you read Ezra again, you're gonna see there's a part that's talking about some son of God coming to save people, just like the book of Daniel. These are fictitious books. There's no son of God named Jesus that's gonna come and save nobody. He's too late. He left 2,000 years ago. He never came back. Obviously, he changed his mind, if he did exist, and he did not exist. But if he did, he already changed his mind. It doesn't take that long to go and prepare a place for people, and then 2,000 years, and then you never came back. That means, as fictitious, he's not coming back. So those of you who's waiting for him, sorry to tell you that he's not coming back. He's not. If he did exist, he's not coming. He already changed his mind. But he did not exist. So, well, I mean, this is something big you're hearing. I mean, it's sad to tell you because religion plays a big role in people's lives. They're like, look, man, especially if you broke, everything's bad for you. The only hope you have is Jesus. But unfortunately, Jesus is not even a hope. So you better start finding another hope because you're gonna be waiting until if you're like 30 right now, you're gonna be waiting, and when you're 95, when you gonna change your mind? When you gonna say to yourself, damn, I don't think this thing is not real because I've been waiting for it since I was born. Now I'm 99. I'm definitely about to die. So even if he was to come now, that's not gonna help me. So I'm dead. When you gonna wake up and see that? I mean, I feel bad that I have to break it down to you guys like this. Like this is the worst thing to do to somebody. Tell them that damn their savior doesn't exist, and they're wasting their time because they like, oh wow, every day I gotta wake up and go get beat up at work, have a bad life, I can barely pay my bills, and you tell me Jesus doesn't exist? Oh wow. Well, it's best that you're here now. Start moving. Go out there and really start making moves for your life. Start making moves, or else you're gonna stay broke and waiting for Jesus your whole life. So that's the breakdown of Second Ezra. I don't think I need to go anymore, because basically that's what he was breaking it down. When Jacob and Esau, when they were being born, Esau came out first, and Jacob was holding on his heel, and that represents Esau gonna be on top first, and then Jacob gonna be next. Although the first prophecy in Genesis never said Esau was gonna be on top. The blessing said Esau. When Isaac gave Esau the blessing, it never said Esau was gonna be on top. It said Esau, no matter what, you're gonna be the slave. Jacob is the man. Jacob got the birthright. So it's sad to tell you, son. Don't even think about it. Jacob already got the birthright. So you're never gonna be on top. That's it. Now you got some liar in the book of Ezra trying to lie to people saying Esau gonna be, the on top in the world, and then later on, they're not gonna be on top anymore, and then Jacob gonna be next. That's a lie. That's a pure contradiction. Pure contradiction according to the blessing that Isaac said to Esau. He said, Esau, my son, this is what's gonna happen to you. Since you begging, your brother Jacob already took the blessing. He's the man. He's the man. There's nothing I can do about that. But this is what I can do for you though. Let me see if I can find one more blessing for you. Because I already give it to you. I give Jacob everything. I give your brother everything. I thought it was you. But he got it. But you and Esau crying, begging, please, can I get one more? Give me something, please. Something. That's what Esau was crying. Give me something, please. And Isaac said, okay, all right, Esau. This is what, let me see. Do I have anything for you? Let me see. Damn. I really don't have anything. But okay, this is what I can do for you. You're gonna be a wild man. And I'm sure Esau be like, no kidding. I already know I'm wild. Of course I'm gonna be a wild man. And Isaac said, hold on, I got more. I'm gonna be a wild man. He said, well, you're gonna live by the sword. And I'm sure Esau's looking at Isaac like, yo, man, I don't tolerate disrespect. I really want to slap you if you weren't my father. I already know I'm a wild man. And you're gonna say I'm gonna be a wild man. And then you say I'm gonna live by the sword. As I'm talking to you, I got my sword right here. So of course I'm gonna live by the sword. I already know this. So tell me something I don't know. I'm sure although Esau probably didn't tell him this, but in his mind, like, tell me something I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna, and I said, with your sword, you're gonna serve your brother. That's what Isaac said. I'm literally quoting what Isaac said to Esau. Those of you can go to Genesis to see if I'm lying. So yeah, you're gonna serve your brother, but eventually, it says, eventually, you're gonna free yourself. Eventually. And then Isaac told Esau, nigga, get out of here. That's it. I'm done. There's no more. That's it. That was a blessing. He never said, Isaac never said, Esau, you're gonna be on top, and after this, you're gonna lose power, and then Jacob gonna be next. Never said that. So you guys, whoever wrote Ezra, you was smoking that la la la, whatever thing you was smoking, and then you Israelites, and this time you go read this and break it down, and then you put that Esau guy. Now you say because he was red and hairy, it's the white man. You guys are bugged out. I'm telling you, the white people came from the Indians and of India, and you guys say the Indians came from Elam. You're wrong again. All the people that came out of Adam, they were all niggas. When I say niggas, I mean Negroes. When I say Negroes, I mean black people. I said niggas, the people they call niggas. And with this, that's it. Done. Okay, my reader, good job.